Three. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alia and Co., the podcast where we talk about some pretty complex things and we make them simple. Today's topic is intuition. And by the way, I'm your host, Alia Kizilbash. We have an amazing guest, and we are going to be discussing intuition with Sidney Friedman.
Right here.
So exciting. But I want to say at
This
least
is part of the thing. I have to do that.
Oh, for real? Are you? Because I will say you have a very particular sense of humor. I don't know when
You don't know what I'm.
you don't know when you're joking and when you're not. And I would like to say,
You use your intuition.
I feel as though you're going to help us break that down a
Okay.
little bit more
right.
because I feel as though I am not using my intuition when it comes to your humor because I'm like, oh my God, what is he saying? I'm not sure. But when it comes to intuition, and especially because there's so many ways to channel in on it, how you use it, how to find it, how to have it help you, And I think that a lot of people specifically, like we've all had some sort of experience with intuition. Like somebody walks into a room and you feel a certain kind of energy, right? Or it could be like, it's like, oh, I'm getting bad vibes from that person, People get these vibes. Or it could be like completely amazing sort of aura where it's like, oh, this is I don't know what it is, Or even jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about dating, jobs, but it could be something like, you think a job is great for you on paper, but you get there and it's like, oh, no, it doesn't feel right. Or dating, somebody could look amazing. It could be, what is it? That thing that they do, a guy in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes, and then you meet him and something is not there,
Mm-hmm.
So I would just want to actually
I can sense that happened to you a lot.
I would say, no, I haven't dated in a while.
No, I didn't. Not recently.
But I do like that. It's a fun one. And I think that a lot of people think that maybe that's what you should be looking for. But do you know any guys in finance?
I do. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Now,
right.
many of my shows and presentations are in the financial sector.
Oh, that's right. Do you do corporate?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Interesting. Well, maybe you need to start a site.
No, but what you're saying is the online date. You're only seeing the description,
Right.
the picture. No one knows till you feel that energy.
You
with the
do.
person. And the other thing is, if you met on a different week, it might be a different energy.
Interesting.
Someone may be in a different space of mind where
Ah.
if something just happened to them or their mind or some people have to meet at the exact right time for there to be that connection. Too,
Interesting. Carl Jungian sort of philosophies, like synchronicities, or are you talking about horoscopes?
No,
time?
horoscope. Just where someone is in their life. If someone just had a breakup,
Oh, yeah.
maybe you want to meet them a few months after that breakup, not at
Yeah.
this time that they just did. So
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think that people.
or a death in the family, something may just not be in the right space of mind to be open and accepting of someone else.
No, absolutely. And actually, you're so right. Because even it's a day-to-day sort of thing, right?
Right.
You might have just had like a horrible day at work and you show up and maybe that mood is not,
It's not there. Right.
it's not there.
Yeah.
But I do want to introduce you.
Okay.
Because
let's do
I
it.
think that there is a lot to say about you. And I think that specifically with the topic of intuition, you are somebody that I would consider a subject matter expert. At least from the fact that with your speaking and your authorship, being like on the #1 Amazon bestseller, amazing. Like you're just that's awesome. But then not just that, you're a renowned mentalist, which I want to get into. And I think that a lot of people perceive that there is something about that they can kind of like feel that, okay, this might be it, but I'm not really sure. So I would love for you to elaborate more on that. But outside of that, you've appeared on the Today Show. You have 2020, The View. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So I would say let's first question it up. What's a mentalist?
It's like a magician, but instead of sleight of hand, it's sleight of mind, I guess you could say. You creating magical experiences, but with your mental capacity rather than with sleight of hand or illusion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So not so much of a, because I know, and this is, I think let's just put it out there for what
Yeah.
it is. This is not magic. It's not a magician, because
No.
that's completely different.
Very different, yeah. And so it can be done for entertainment purposes like a magician would do.
Mm-hmm.
And I do many presentations like that, lots of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Just did one over the weekend for a small little house party where there were 12 people having dinner with a chef brought in, and then they retired to the living room, and I performed for those people celebrating a birthday. And 2 days before that, I was in front of a mortgage company.
Oh,
And
okay.
they were entertaining some of their real estate partners and so forth. And and that was all entertainment.
Okay.
And then a few days before that, I was doing a presentation, which was totally different, where I was teaching this and teaching how to connect with the subconscious mind, teaching intuition, so forth.
Yeah.
And a few days before that, I was down in Marco Island, Florida, performing my show as entertainment for a wedding.
Interesting.
Yeah, they wanted something totally different for their wedding
Oh my.
to wow their
So much diversity.
Yeah, so yeah.
No, I like that, and that's a. Let's also talk about the mentalism,
Yeah.
and because you've won awards, like 2021 Dunninger Award.
Right.
Tell
Yeah.
us, what is that?
So what is it? Well, there was a famous mentalist in the 1950s. Joseph Dunninger was his name, and
apologies,
he was on TV shows back then, even on the radio. I don't know how that works on the radio. It's like a ventriloquist on the radio. But anyway, it's so anyway, it was. But he was very famous, and they've named this award after him, and it's an international award. And somehow it's nothing you apply for. They just bestow it on you, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Interesting.
That was a couple years ago.
What is the premise for an award like that? I mean, I know that you said that there's no science to it.
It's someone who's achieved a lot in their performances and in their career and so forth, and that's I think that's what it's about.
Okay,
It's kind of the Oscars in the magical arts. The magicians and mentalists and that type of thing are all part of the magical arts. It's an art. It is
the
these
mystical
are
arts. You
the
think?
mystical arts, that type of thing.
So,
Yeah.
what is a mentalist?
So, well, like I said, it's someone who does things with their mind. It can involve mind reading. It can involve a type of telepathy, prediction.
Okay.
It can involve influence, all of those kinds of things.
Okay.
Even mathematical type things that you do with your mind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that you have had this, there must have been a journey for you to get to this place. And I would love to hear.
Sure.
I can only envision that you might have been very curious as a child.
Right. So it started when I was about 5 years old, a little less than 5. My mom had lost her wedding ring. She was looking all over the house for it and completely upset. And as a kid, I'm seeing my mom all upset. She told me what was going on. I sat down in a chair, imagined I was in a movie theater, waiting for the film to begin, looking at that blank white screen. And just then on that screen appeared a certain location in the house. I told her about it, and she went there, found it. So it was under her nightstand. And apparently she had already looked under there, but didn't look deep enough or whatever. It had fallen under there. In school one day, my teacher misplaced some papers, and then I told her where they were. And then I got in trouble because she thought I put them there.
That's not cool.
That's for real.
I was just trying to help you.
I know. But I was the anointed finder of lost objects among friends and so on. We'd play baseball as kids, and invariably someone hits the ball into the bushes. And then the ball, you can't find the ball anymore, and that's the end of the game.
Right,
You have no ball to play
exactly.
with. But I knew exactly how many steps back to go and how many steps over, and I'd find it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Like,
I was better then at finding lost things. Though the other day I did help a woman find her tennis bracelet that she lost. So it was a client of mine who called me, and I just had a picture of where it might be, and she did. She was afraid it might have gotten stolen or lost. She didn't know what was going on, but
interesting.
she actually phoned me a few hours ago saying that she found it exactly where I told her.
So you were the anointed air tag. Of,
There you go. I was an air tag before air tag.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
But that's cool though. How do you? We're going to definitely delve into this. But what does that process look like in your mind, and especially as a child? Now I'm sure you've honed into it at a different level. I'm 100% sure, and I'm seeing, and at least from what I've seen.
Well, then I didn't know what I was quite doing. And I had a great grandmother who was really good at this type of thing too. And when she lived in New York, but when she'd visit Chicago, she'd usually come for a month or two in the summer. and stay with us. And she'd look at a pregnant woman. She knew exactly what day the baby would be born,
Oh,
whether
wow.
it be male or female. She was right. So maybe there was a genetic. I don't know what that is, but but the process. I somehow in my head I figured for the lost object thing, I always picture a movie screen and try to think about the object, and usually the location will appear on that screen. So that I kind of figured that out. There's always some other roundabout way to get to it, and so that's how that worked. It got scary though, and most of my, I would say by the time I was maybe 10 or so, all the way up until college, I kind of sublimated all of it. And then in college, I had a girlfriend who was super good at this as well. And she and I would practice over and over again. We'd go to a restaurant, try to sense what was going on with a couple sitting at another table. And then we'd go over and talk to them. And based on our conversation, it would verify whether what we were thinking about them was true or not.
Interesting.
But, yeah, so that's where I got good. And then there was a mentor in Estes Park, Colorado, part of the Arapaho Indian tribe. And he mentored me. And I've had a few other mentors along the way. Figured a few things out on my own. One of the techniques I teach people is if you want to get in tune with someone else, is you imagine your mind, which, by the way, we've all seen a brain, or we've seen a representation of a brain, but no one has seen a mind.
Right. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. There's a big differentiating factor. Yeah.
So scientists have seen the brain, but no one really, it's this electrical energy going on there. But imagine your mind leaving your brain, going through the air, going inside someone else's head and looking out through their eyes.
Ooh, that was a
Yeah.
movie. That was a series. Did you see that one?
No.
Oh, I have to
What
share
was
it with
it?
you. Behind Her Eyes or Behind Your Eyes.
Ooh, I like that
So
title.
it's
Check
that
it out.
exactly it is that there's something going on, and I don't know. It's basically you can do something where this individual can consume your mind and take it and be in your body, your persona.
All right.
So basically, they're experiencing and being that individual. They might be their own soul, but they kind of get inside your body.
I've never taken over anybody's soul. So
Yeah,
I don't know
but
if
that's
anyone can in real life.
yeah, but that's
But anyway, the idea is to look out and see what someone else is seeing, and also maybe hear what they're hearing, feel what they're feeling, taste what they're tasting, smell what they're smelling. Most of our life is in this space right here, just like this. And even if you're close to someone, very close, you're still in your own space. But if you imagine doing that, first of all, you begin to pick up feelings better than you normally would. And then eventually, if you do this day to day, you'll pick up little thoughts of the other person.
so proximity.
And you can do this across the room. You can do this in an interview, parents with their children. And what happens is the other person feels you attempting to connect.
God.
And think about that, how powerful that is. Because what does everybody want in the world?
Connection. I
Connection,
think, yeah.
right. We have different religions. There's different political ideologies. There's differences in where we like to go, and our interest, all that. But the one thing we all have in common is connection.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the animal world, in every group of animals, there's connection. They want connection. They want to be part of a group. And this creates that connection. So whoever you're talking to, they will feel that connection, and that's very powerful. They'll feel like you're attempting to understand them.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it'll draw them a little closer to you. And also, feelings we can already pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk into your house when you come home, you can, because if there's someone's having a bad day, you can pick it up almost all right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in a work situation, you can tell if someone may be angry or someone's maybe holding something back or whatever. But doing this, it brings it to another level.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so last night I did something pretty fun. I went on YouTube and I was watching Michael Jackson's first performance of the moonwalk.
Oh.
I don't know if you have ever
I
saw
think
it.
I have, yeah.
Where he was young,
Right.
vibrant dancer, super excited,
Incredible.
does the moonwalk and then does that little thing where he's like, you know how like he goes,
Yeah, his feet go up.
like,
Yeah, no, it's...
And I remember seeing it, and it was, and even the thing that he just puts his leg up, and he's like, like he puts one leg up, and he's like, or whatever.
No, it's...
But then I watched a video of him doing it many years later. It was to Billie Jean, right? And it was different. It was much more practiced. It was clean. There was something more to
Right.
it where
Sure.
he'd done it so many times that it just looked different. The energy was not there. That was the first time he did it. Like, because I feel like, that there's an excitement there, and if you've performed like, anything before and it's like the 900th time you've done it is not the same as the first time that, the vigor, And so I'm wondering when it comes to honing in on this intuition, specifically when you were younger and now being able to kind of do it, and especially what you were describing, do you think that this is something that, just like him, you can get better at over time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How so?
So, well, I'm thinking of the same thing of Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He did these amazing flying through the air. And then there was a point in his career where he did a thing, and it was actually in the first championship season against the Lakers.
Okay.
And he went up in the air and he brought the ball to one side, then the other side, then here back, while always in air, and then with the left hand. He like switched hands a couple times. Finney, your producer here, is nodding. Yeah, everyone, you can picture that, right?
He's like, yeah.
So his airing, his being in the air, acrobatics, his airness' airing went to another level. And so that's the same here. It's just like Michael Jackson. But there's what you were saying about Michael Jackson, there was a certain innocence and freshness to the first time he did it, but then it was perfected along the way. So,
it perfected as in, it looked different, And so,
so with anything, there's certain points where you seem like you're regressing. You're going back, and then you got to kind of go back to the basics and go forward again.
No,
I'm also a pianist, play piano, so I know this all from practice. Sometimes, oh God, where did all my technique go? And you got to go back and almost go in reverse, and then go forward to go further.
Do you find that the times, at least now, you're mentioning it, so that means that you're aware of the fact that there might be some regression, and then, but that's kind of just the path. Is that something? Because that's something also I'm recognizing is that I'm doing this. Oh, I fell off, and now I'm not doing it as well.
Right.
So is this all like kind of a journey? It's for someone who's wanting to learn to be more intuitive and channel their subconscious. Is that something that like you feel that happens? It's not like just 100%.
No, I don't think they're ever straight line. Same with relationships. There's always detours. Same with anything in life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into this book here.
What is that book? I don't even...
There's this guy who sits and your mind knows more than you do. That's like a really powerful phrase. How did you tell us about that. How did you get there?
How did I get to that title?
Yeah. Your mind knows more than you do. And because you mentioned the mind.
Right.
Which is completely different than the brain.
Yeah.
And I think only because I would have never been privy to this this mentioning of the mind outside of me. Just I read a book that the mind is different. There's more layers to it than just a brain, right? Your mind is your active thought. Your mind is maybe your programming, maybe things that you've experienced in your life. Is it your soul also? What is your mind?
I can't quite define it. I don't know. I know how to activate certain parts of it, but I don't know what exactly's happened.
Okay.
So, that would be some scientists to really define that. So I can't really give a definitive answer. What is the mind? It probably all those things you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite remarkable. I mean, we're on a planet that happens to be just the right exact distance from a star.
Mm-hmm.
If it were even a few percent closer or a few percent further, there wouldn't be the possibility of life. It has to be here. There's a moon with its gravitational pull. It slows down the rotation of our planet just enough because the planet can't be too fast, and there's water here, and there's all these elements, and it's this stew that allows life to form, and somehow there's from just cellular organisms there became intelligent, and even other in the whole animal world, there's different types of. They all have a thinking brain, maybe not to the capacity of a human,
Sentient. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So, and actually, we have I think they say it's a 1% difference between us and an ape of our DNA.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gets you thinking. If there is an alien life form, which there probably is somewhere out there,
I believe there
maybe.
is.
What if they're 1% more than we are?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
Well,
we would seem completely dumb. So,
I feel like in comparison
anyway,
to them, we
but it is
probably
remarkable that we have this thing here that just can do all this, and at the same time that we're talking, or the same time that you're doing stuff, it's operating their whole body system.
Yeah.
It's quite.
Remarkable.
It's insane. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So how did you come up with this? Your mind is knows more than you do.
The book is really about the subconscious secrets of success. It's really about connecting with the one thing I know about the mind. And I don't know if it's totally proven, but the one thing that I can kind of figure out is that there's a conscious mind and there's a subconscious mind.
Okay.
And our conscious mind has a limited amount of information compared to the subconscious. It seems to pick up on everything, all kinds of cues, and it also has a magical ability.
Okay.
To send out signals out there into the world to help make things happen, and an ability to create. Creative ideas come from the subconscious up to the conscious mind. The more that you can activate the subconscious, the more that you will have creative ideas as to how to achieve what you wish to achieve. So that's what the book is about.
Interesting.
And that's why your mind knows more than you do. So basically your subconscious mind knows more than you do.
Yeah. Do you think that the subconscious mind also learns along the way?
Yes. Yeah. It picks up on all the experiences you have. Yeah.
So is it more feelings based than the intellectually based, do you think?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. I don't know the percentage of each.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be
both,
I feel like every person might have a different percentage maybe.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I have actually specific techniques in there that help you. There's a bunch of different things. One of the main one is pouring a desire or a wish or a goal deep into the subconscious mind. There's a technique for doing that. And then the subconscious mind could go to work to help make it happen. Because when you're consciously desiring something, it creates anxiety, and the anxiety puts up a wall. And when that wall is there, those things don't get to us, that we can't achieve them. But when you pour it into your subconscious mind, it clears the conscious thinking, and therefore the anxiety goes away, and the wall dissipates, and then those things can come to us. Right? And the subconscious mind could go to work. It'll send creative ideas up to your mind as to how to achieve them, or it'll just send something. I should call so and so today, and you have no idea why. Or I should go to this location. I should go to this Starbucks today instead of that Starbucks, right? Or I'm just thinking.
No, you're right.
And you have no idea why, and you go there, and you happen to run into somebody that's important that helps you achieve what you're, or it leads one thing that leads to another, that leads to another that helps you achieve what you're wanting to achieve. So. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. It's interesting that it knows more, right? I think that there is some aspect to it where, I've always been trying to bridge the gap between science and I know a lot of people woo woo, whatever, they'll say things, and there might be a lot of things. There are certain things that maybe on this planet a little woo woo, but there is a very scientific basis to intuition and the way that we're exploring and understanding our minds. I don't think we're done learning and discovering and knowing things, and the example I give is, if you went to the village of the Wright brothers, that village that they were making the bicycles or whatever, the week before they had their first flight, and you ask them, hey, do you think these guys are going to put a chunk of metal in the air? They'd be like, oh, no, they're not. But then they did it, right? And I think that we're constantly discovering new things, specifically with the subconscious and the mind in itself. Quantum physics. Just being able to understand And like what you were mentioning about the anxiety of like maybe say manifesting something or wanting something, your subconscious can do it immediately, right? But your conscious mind is getting in the way because you're in the way of that manifestation because you're anxious about it. Do you find that there might be some truth to that?
Yeah, exactly. You kind of rephrased what I was just saying exactly. Huh? Yeah, and it's you want your conscious mind working too, but
Mhm.
you want to activate your subconscious mind
Mhm.
and relax your subconscious you want to relax your conscious thinking
How do you
so
do
the
that?
anxiety
That's
so
what
the
I'd like
more
to
you
get to.
pour that wish in there, and I'll show you the technique in a minute. The more you pour it into your subconscious mind, the more less the conscious mind has that anxiety or that um, I don't know, that angst.
The angst,
Yeah,
the
it's
the
gone.
worry,
Yeah, the
right?
worry, right? The worry.
I think there are a lot of
Right.
people, like, I mean, you have like your Joe Dispenzas and, all of these like manifestation related gurus or stuff,
Yeah.
like they're all teaching something,
Right. Sure. Yeah.
getting in the way of your manifestation, like putting
hmm
too much weight in the outcome,
Right.
being attached to the outcome. Is that something that gets in the like,
Yeah. You could.
and how do you stop doing that? Because that's literally this past weekend is like, how do I stop getting in my way?
Here, I'll show you right here. I'll show you inside these here.
What are these?
You'll see in just a moment.
Oh my gosh.
I know little gift bags here.
Ooh.
Actually, I'll give you this one to keep. I think if
Oh
I
my
can get
gosh.
it out of here. Hold on. Put it up in here. Oh, here it is. There we go. It's a pendulum.
Oh,
There, you
interesting.
take that one
Ooh,
over there.
that's a pretty one.
Yeah, it's rose quartz.
Oh,
I
is,
think.
is there a significance to the rose quartz?
Look,
Because I
I
do
think
believe in, I mean,
this is a different one here, but that one's for you.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. So if you hold this in your hand,
Mm-hmm.
just like that, and maybe pull your elbow off the table just a little bit like there, and then think, actually, it matches your nails. Very nice. I knew that ahead of time.
Do it.
Um, if you just think of it moving back and forth, it'll start to move on its own like this. See how I'm doing that there? Just thinking of it, it'll start to move. There it goes. And if you think of it moving even more, it'll move even more. It'll swing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Watch it swing. Don't stop it. Just keep it swinging in your mind. Just really think of it moving back and forth. Watch it over there. Watch it. There it goes. And it's going to go even more now. You're opening up to it. Now imagine the pendulum moving around in a circle. And it'll start to move in a circular pattern. There it goes. I know. And then imagine it, look at that circle. And now imagine it coming to a stop. And pretty soon the pendulum will slow down and slow down and slow down and come to
What? Oh my God. Benny.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So what is going on there? We're in Chicago, Illinois right now. And at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, there's a pendulum hanging I think it's like 60 feet from a tall ceiling. A very large
Yeah,
pendulum. Every school kid has gone on a trip there or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's in constant motion. It's called the Foucault pendulum.
Yes,
It was
yes.
a scientist, French,
Oh,
from the 19th century who discovered that because of the Earth is moving, if you hold a pendulum a great enough distance, it'll move on its own just from the Earth's motion. But the swing of it will change, and you can keep time with that pendulum of the time of the day. Anyway, but this is it happening in your very own hand, and this shows that that our mind actually has the power to move the world. And it's also a metaphor for things. You have to understand there's a swing and a sway and a to and a fro to everything in life. It happens with the seasons. It happens with the weather, where there's a buildup of energy and a release of it. It happens with our bodies. It happens with relationships, where things move a little one way, they move back the other way. Happens with the stock market. It happens with everything, all aspects of life.
Flow.
Happens with fashion.
Yeah.
The things get a little louder, then they get more conservative over time. They get whatever.
Can I put my arm?
Yeah, you can put it down. You don't have to. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so it's a metaphor for that.
Uh-huh.
But also you can use it as a focus tool And what I suggest is if there's something you're truly desiring and wishing for, a goal, something you want to, as they say, manifest. So that word is overused now, but anyway,
Mhm.
um, you write it out on a little piece of paper as simply as you can, a few words, maybe a sentence, the thing that you want to achieve. And you take that, you write it out and you put it on paper in front of you and you read it out loud. And then you hold the pendulum over this and you say the word yes. And if you say yes, the pendulum will start to move on its own back and forth. And then read the wish out loud. And then close your eyes. And this is the most important part, is imagine this thing that you're desiring. Imagine it happening right now. Imagine if right now it is occurring. Imagine the change without it seeming strange. And then the change will exchange with the present.
Interesting. Ooh.
Imagine the change without it seeming strange. Imagine if it's perfectly natural. Like, let's say if you're, I'm just going to pull something out of it. You're a baseball hitter and you want to swing better. You got to imagine, and you got to imagine it with as many senses as possible. Not just sight. Don't just visualize it. There's some people, everyone talks about pre-visualization.
Mhm.
You got to visualize it ahead of time. Before you go into that interview, you got to visualize. No, don't visualize it, but also hear it. Use I call it pre-sensualization.
Interesting.
Using all five senses.
Oh.
Pre-sensualization. So you got to hear it. You got to hear the interaction with you and the person you're interviewing with. Or you got to smell it. You got to every possible sense that you can. Let's say it's a baseball player. You got to hear the crack of the bat on the ball or hitting it solidly. Hear the roar of the crowd. Smell the popcorn and the hot dogs wafting through the air. Yeah. So put yourself in that moment where it is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the change without it seeming strange, and then the change will exchange with the present. So that's what you're doing here as this pendulum is swinging, and you can close your eyes while you do that. Then you open your eyes, put it all away. It takes about 2 minutes. Do it every day. If you miss a day, this is not superstition. It doesn't matter, but get back to it the next day. If you want, do it a couple times a day.
Interesting.
Yeah. And most people that I've taught this to do it in the morning when they wake up, or they do it at night just before they go to bed. They do it in private, or there's other people think, what the heck?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
But I will say, though, I mean...
and it works. It won't happen immediately. It's not like a magician. You're talking about different between a magician and a mentalist. A magician will snap his finger and the little bird appears or the dove appears, right? Mm-hmm. This is something that maybe it'll happen in a few days or a week, but most of the time it takes months or a year or whatever. It'll happen in its time.
Interesting.
But you'll begin to see results within a few days or a week or two.
How do you think noise kind of gets in the way? I mean, nowadays we have all of this social media and all of this information that keeps coming at us. Like there's an example of what we have, the amount of information that we have now in one day is more information than somebody in the 1900s had in their entire life.
Right.
So like when you're trying to tap into your intuition, how do you, is there a way to move that stuff to the side and then be able to, we're not hearing ourselves anymore. Do you think that this is a problem?
It's a problem if you let it be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I can't tell other people how to live their life, but myself, I have sort of a balance where I'm busy on my phone, looking through Instagram, and I'm, look at who's doing that. Right, okay. And then it's like, okay, no more phone. And then I'm in the gym. The phone is locked up. I don't have to, and I'm like, or I take time to meditate, or I'm doing something, I'm on a bicycle or something of this, where so you have to have that balance, that's all.
So I will say, though, because especially this generation that's coming up, they've never not had a phone, right? So especially there's a lot of children who have...
But think about the I don't know when it was, 20s, 30s. These generation, they never didn't have a radio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
I grew up, we didn't even have a radio.
Right. No, absolutely.
So there's always something.
No, 100%. Yeah. But I will...
There'll be a generation where like, this generation, we didn't have it in our arm. It wasn't built in. It wasn't
books. How many books?
We didn't have a chip implanted here, or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll always be.
Well, there'll always be, but there might be something to say about the amount of kind of like the lack of attention that we have now, right? Because everything is in these short spurts. You have like 30 seconds of a clip, which nowadays our attention span is really being
I know.
deprived.
If you look at old commercials on TV, that sometimes you can access those. It's like a car commercial would take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Today they do the same thing in 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah,
Boom, 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 boom,
absolutely.
boom, and that's all you. Otherwise, you would be bored. But back then, people would watch that whole 2 minutes.
Watch it. Yeah. People would wait for a like, AOL. Do you remember when Instant Messenger and all of that? Like, do you know how long it took for a page to load?
Yeah, right.
A long time.
You had a slow
And we'd
computer,
wait.
then you'd wait. Right, yeah.
We'd wait for it,
Yeah.
But like, do you think that has an effect on being able to channel your intuition to some degree?
No, I think you can still do it.
Within 30
Still do it,
seconds?
but you can't. What's that?
Within 30 seconds?
Yeah, you can. You can. You can.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But you have to, I mean, there'll be time for this and there's time for that. There's time, there has to be rest time.
There has to be rest, right?
Yeah, right.
And I don't think that.
But I think human nature too, we all desire nature anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what kids still want to play around outdoors and run around in the park and,
Yeah.
yeah, they do.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I slightly push back against that because unfortunately it seems that there
Or they get to a point where they do.
I
People
hope.
do.
I
Yeah.
hope. I mean, you have all of these like sci-fi movies that come out where like Ready Player One, where people are living in virtual reality. It's an epidemic. Having there's like guys in their 20s that just play video games all day long.
That's true. No, you're right. Yeah.
Do you, so and I think that
Now there are those a lot of those exceptions. Where people are
it's
just,
becoming more and more of kind of a sad fact. But I do believe, and exactly like you were saying, is that yes, as human beings, we're not built to constantly be entertained at every second of the day.
yeah.
Where does the creativity come in if you are constantly allowing this noise to come in
Right.
and kind of distract you away from the free thought that you should be having? Do you have any like insights or input on how somebody who is in this like kind of like, rabbit hole of social media and gaming and whatnot, and even though, I'm not going to lie, I work I'm on a laptop all day long because I have to be.
Right.
How does one get away from that and be able, especially in our society now, to be able to just quiet down? Do you think meditation might be a start, or being able to even realize, because I think there's so much noise sometimes that you don't know what the voice of intuition is and the voice of all the noise that is around you.
Right. So my thinking is that everyone should have time, either meditation, but also time we're watching other people's creativity most of the time. We're in front of a TV program or we're scrolling through watching other people's Instagram little reels and so forth, and it's everybody else's creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone should have a time in the day where they're creating themselves.
Mm.
We all have this gift of being able to create. Now, some people can do it better than others. I spend at least 45 minutes to an hour every day sitting and playing piano.
Ah.
I'm being creative, and I try to write my own little music and so forth. Or it could be playing tennis or whatever. It's something where you're creating
In a flow state?
something. Yeah, where you're in this. Yeah, I think has to be some activity where you're doing something for yourself in that way, and using your mind to well, there's no better word than create. You know? That we were created, and it's the way you return that gift is by creating ourselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Creating,
So,
doing.
but just watching other people's creativity, to me, is just not, Or if you are watching other creativity, then write about it.
Yeah.
I just saw this, I just watched this, and I thought this, and I didn't like that. And you're creating an opinion about it,
I remember many years ago, I was living in Michigan, and for whatever reason, we had like this crazy power outage. No power anywhere, and
But it was kind of a blessing.
it was a blessing. And I'll tell you how, because it was maybe 3 or 4 days we didn't have power. I don't know what was happening. It was some community, my kids would go to bed. And the conversations that I had, right? Because and I don't know, because then it made me really think about society, in the beginning when maybe we didn't have any diversions, electronics, all of that, where people would be outside talking to other people, telling stories. And I remember the first night, and we were sitting around the candle, literally, like it was, but there's layers of conversation that happen.
That wouldn't have happened
That would have
otherwise.
never happened. And then every day it just got better. But
how long did this outage last?
oh my gosh, it was like 3 or 4 days. It was.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this wasn't like just for an hour or two.
No,
okay.
no. This was like maybe I don't know, 18 years ago.
Love it.
And I was
Great.
and the first night was like, oh my God, da, 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 da. And this is just when, I don't know, maybe Facebook had just come out, whatever. Like I was still kind of addicted to my computer, but not really, you know? And the thing is that no TV, no distractions, no I have to do this or whatnot. And every single night consecutively, the conversations, I don't think I've had better conversations ever in my life before.
Right.
Because, you know, and it makes me think about like these kind of back when Neanderthals or roaming the earth or whatever, or just people
even
were bonding
the
connection.
19th century family would retire to the parlor, and the daughter would be playing the piano, the mother would be knitting, dad and the son would each be reading a book, 2 other kids would be playing a game together, then they'd all talk about something, you know, that's kind of...
The relationships were different. And I would say that there's like an epidemic of loneliness because we are now becoming more isolated when you could be in the same room and be completely isolated from somebody, which is kind of strange. So I would say...
Well, we aren't right now.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're connecting. No, 100%, 100%. But it does, and I think that there should be more awareness about, like, it's a different level of communication and understanding, you know. But how we were getting back to the intuition portion of it is that you have all of these philosophers, you know, that sat there and we're still studying them. You know, all of these reels that you're watching, if you're in that rabbit hole of philosophy, you're reading about all of these individuals that sat there without electricity, having these thoughts in that time that we're still studying. And so, I mean, Rumi, what he talks about, it's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you even saying? How do you know this? You know? And so it's just like a matter of being able to kind of have that space. So do you think that space is something that you need to be able to hone in on your intuition?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, how does that work for you?
Well, first of all, what do you mean by space? What do you...
Space as in allowing time in between some sort of stimulation.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, like I said before, I think what is that biblical thing? And it's not like I'm a biblical scholar. A time for this, a time for that. What was that verse? A time to be born, a time for... There's that famous thing. Yeah. So, but I think every day and every week and every part of your life, there should be a time for interaction, a time for have that space for yourself, time for being creative, time for resting, time to be active, time to be inactive.
Do you think that you spend time kind of honing in even more so on what you have existing at this point in terms of being able to read your intuition and refine it?
Yeah.
Do you think you're trying to get
show you something
sure.
to demonstrate this? Kind of before we began this, I had you draw a picture.
He did.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, and do you have that with you?
I do. I put it in my purse.
Okay. So, but this is, and you can verify this, I had you go off on your own, and I walked all the way away from you, had my back turned.
Yes. Many checks and balances, backs turned.
And I said you could draw whatever you want. If it's meaningful to you, all the better. If it isn't, that's fine. Just a simple picture. And then I had you fold it up many times and put it in your purse, but I didn't see it.
No, you
Nobody
didn't.
else saw it.
No, you didn't.
There were no cameras there.
I'm a skeptic.
So, if you could pull that out, but don't show it to me. Okay. Do you have it there?
I do.
Yeah. But keep it folded up, and I'm going to attempt to sense what it is. Because actually, I've been thinking about it this whole time, and I can't see through that paper.
No, you can't.
It's opaque.
No.
Okay, but keep it in your hands there.
Okay.
And so I had you do it just in the interest of time, so we could do this better. But this whole time that we've been talking, I've been trying to pick up on it a little bit here from you. And that's why just now I just like, okay, I think I might know what it is. And does this have to do with a child by any chance?
To some degree, yes.
Okay. And I sense it has to do with some kind of activity.
Yeah.
I'm sensing some kind of jumping involved.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right. Because that's what I picked up. Anything more than that, I don't know right now. So what I want you to do right now is to, in your mind, and this was in your child, is it?
No.
No. Good. Didn't think so. But this is something though that maybe you liked to do when you were little. And it's let's see if I'll show it to the camera in a minute. I'm going to try to
we were just
right. And so I'm getting something like this here. Okay. And really visualize this like we were talking about before. Really like imagine it happening right now as if you were doing it right now. But don't physically do it right now, but just in your mind do it. And I'm just going to write. Maybe I got this wrong. But if not, it's a good try. Okay. I've got it. I'll just leave it right here. Open yours up.
Oh my God.
Because I got someone jumping rope.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Do you
got both of those?
What?
Yeah.
Can I hold it?
Yeah, hold them both up there.
Wow. Wow. Yes, this was me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what else to say. I'm just how do you do this? How?
So this is the ultimate of intuition.
Being on TikTok. Take some space.
No, TikTok is fine.
Okay.
Instagram, just in moderation. That's all, everything.
Yeah, take some space for yourself.
Yeah.
So tell us. Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And this kind of thing is not 100%. I do miss, but when I get in tune, it's like I'm like, I was feeling it strongly. So,
how so?
And you were good at projecting it too.
Okay, so that's the nuance that I think that a lot of people would wonder. How am I projecting something, and what are you picking up?
So, remember I told you about the technique of imagining my mind leaving my brain and going and I was going inside you, looking out from your eyes, and I was kind of hearing I actually was hearing the sound of that rope go.
Like really like.
Let me go close. Is that the sound of a jump rope? You could hear that go through the air. I was hearing that. I thought that has to be a rope.
It was a very specific kind that was not the one that was beaded that kind of like, gave you a little bit. It was like a whip kind.
Right.
So I mean,
it made that sound in the air. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you went into your mind. You went into your mind.
I went into your mind.
You went into my mind. What else are you seeing?
I don't know. Later, we'll try something else.
Okay.
You've seen magicians do card tricks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do something with cards. We won't use an actual deck of cards.
Okay.
Just imagine that you have a deck of cards, okay?
Okay.
And right now in your mind, select a card. Anyone, there's 52 cards. But don't think of the queens or the aces, because everybody chooses queens and the aces, or a high percentage do. So think of some different card in between them.
Okay.
Anything. You got one in your mind?
I'm deciding.
Yeah, between a few, but that's okay.
Okay.
You got one. Okay. And then think of it over and over and over again. Okay, good. And now, you've heard of palm reading?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to read your palm right now.
App
I'm not going to read your palm, but hold them up like this here, one on each side of your head, and maybe a little further apart. Good. And now imagine that one of your palms has the word yes written on it, and the other one has the word no. But don't tell me which is which. So right now, assign yes to one of the hands and make the other one the no hand. Okay, you got one? You got it? Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and if the answer is yes, wait a moment. Don't immediately do it. Just think it through, because I don't want you, if the answer is yes, I don't want you nodding like this by mistake, or if it's no, you're just going to, if it's yes, look deliberately at the yes hand and then look at me. If it's no, look deliberately at the no hand and then look at me. But of course, I don't know which hand is which, so it won't mean anything to me. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. And wait a moment before you do anything, just think it through and then look at the hand. Is it a red card? Okay. Is it a picture card? Like a Jack, Queen, King, a royal card? Is it a royal card? Okay. Okay. Is it a heart? Okay. Is it an even numbered card? Okay. Is it a high card? Meaning 6 or above would be high, below 6 would be. Okay. And you could put your hands down. So it's definitely a red card because red indicates the future, black the past. You've been planning some things of late, one short term, another long term. So it's definitely a red card. You're a person of past. You have great intellect, but you're led with your heart and your passions. It's definitely a heart. Am I on the right track? Is it a heart? It is. Red card and a heart. See, I've already picked up on that. Let's see if I can get even closer. And it's probably, there were some things that were uneasy in life, some little bit battles, but they're evening out now, so forth. So it's definitely an even numbered card. It's probably either an 8 or a 10. I'm going to say 8 of hearts. Is it the 8 of hearts? Pretty close. What was it?
It was the 10.
10 of hearts. Okay. Pretty darn close. Wow.
Oh my gosh. That's so, but the fact that you read all those other things.
Yeah. But I got close.
You got very close.
Yeah.
You got very close. But look, okay, first of all, okay, for someone who has never, like, tell me what to do if I was you.
So you have to start. Well, first of all, let's be clear about it. We brought up Michael Jordan. We could both study basketball and practice 8 hours a day. We'd never be as good as that. There's
100%.
Right. And I'm the Michael Jordan of Mentalist. So.
Oh, yeah, you are. You are 100%.
So, but everyone can learn it and learn it better, just like everyone can learn to play golf or tennis or what's the new thing that they're all pickleball, whatever. Yeah, everybody could get better. They may not be a champion at it, but you can learn to ice skate, but you're not going to win the Olympics. I always say start by doing the exercise I gave you earlier of imagining your conscious mind going right into somebody else looking out, and you'll be amazed at what happens. Another technique that I tell people to do is when they listen to somebody, do not listen to every word they say.
Okay.
I know. They say, you listen to every word I'm about to take. No, don't. Rather, listen to every consonant and every vowel of every syllable of every word that they say.
Oh.
As I'm speaking now, listen to every consonant and every vowel of every syllable of each word that I'm saying. And as I'm doing that, I can feel your focus come right over here.
Oh, wow.
And when you do that, you pick up on sub-cues and all kinds of things, too. Plus, that, like I said before, the other person really feels you focusing and concentrating. It's real listening. And you can pick up all kinds of intuitive things about the other person when you do that, even on the phone. Because you know it. On the phone, you can always tell when someone isn't quite paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
You know that in person when they're fidgeting or they're looking. But on the phone, you still pick up on it because we have that intuition. But you'll be able to, when you do this and listen in that manner, and they'll pick up on you having this micro listening, I call it.
Oh, you know what? That's such.
And even listen to the spaces between the words.
That's such an interesting way to describe it. The consonants, because as soon as I started doing that, the room started to sound different.
The whole room sounded everything.
It started to sound different. Is this the way that you navigate your life day to day?
I know.
At
first, it's like you pick up on all kinds of, but eventually you just it's
Where did you learn this from?
That's my own technique. That one, as far as I know.
But that's I mean it's almost kind of like it isolated the sound from the external stimulus.
Yeah.
And how did you feel my focus coming towards you?
Oh, when we were doing
Yeah,
those little things.
when I started listening, you're like, "Oh, I feel your focus coming towards you." What did you feel? Is it energetic? Is it
Yeah,
something
no,
that
you feel that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh. So, but like, okay, so you went and you mentored under this, like, you mentioned it was a Native
Right.
American, like, and
He
then
was the chief of the Arapaho tribe. Yeah,
why, how did you find
at the
him?
time. We were on a family trip out there, and they were doing a ritual dance with the drumming, and so it was very fascinating.
Yeah.
And then he came up to me, and he afterward, he said, and there was sort of refreshments or whatever, and during it, he came up to me and says, "You have a gift." He had
Oh,
no idea. He just came up to me. I didn't do anything. I was just sitting there as a kid. I think I was a teenager, like 14, 15 years old. Yeah.
you have a
And so,
gift.
yeah, so he said, "You have a gift. Could I talk to you for a moment?" Sure. And then the next day I met with him for several hours. He was like a shaman.
Yeah.
He gave me these little wings here.
Wow.
Yeah. He
Okay.
said, "You won't wear these now, but someday you'll feel ready to wear them." And some 16 years later, I felt ready and I started wearing, wear them every day.
But what is okay, so like there's mysticism, there's spirituality. There's a lot. I think that I'm meeting more and more people that are thinking outside of the typical norms of, you have the biblical, like, or, whatever the Abrahamic religions. You might have Buddhism, you might have all of these different kinds of spaces of belief. Buddhism is a little bit different in the sense that you can be a different religion and still be Buddhist. It's just a mind thing. But then you have all of the Inca and the Mayans and, the Native Americans. And there is a certain essence. If you're talking to somebody that is in the space, what is this alignment? How did he know? And there must have been something that he knew that he practiced that was something that he recognized in you. What did you feel that he recognized in you?
Well, I had already been through the experience of finding these lost objects and sensing some things. And somehow he picked up on that. Like, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm able to now pick up on that in other people too, on
Interesting.
occasion. Right.
Are you not picking it
So,
up on me?
so
I need to develop it a little bit
no,
more.
you're actually quite intuitive, quite psychic yourself.
Well,
Psychic, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I have weird dreams, but I don't know that. Yeah, weird dreams, actually. Not weird ones, but ones that I just wasn't expecting that
So
were actual.
dreams is a thing. I journal or I don't do that so much anymore, but I used to journal them all the time.
Okay.
The problem with it is you're waking up and in order to journal it, you have to wake up right after the dream to
Right.
remember it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of your dreams you just totally forget by the morning. So I train myself to wake up, and you're not getting a good night's sleep.
No,
So,
no, because your sleep cycles
Yeah, you
when
can't.
you're dreaming
So
is the
that's enough of
lightest.
that.
What about lucid dreaming?
But if you want to remember your dreams, write on a little piece of paper. Tonight, I will remember a couple of my dreams. I will wake up and write them down. Put that next to your nightstand. And after you do that for a few nights, you will start waking up
And,
after a dream, and you'll write it down and go back to sleep.
oh, you go back.
Anyway, but I found out that there's 3 types of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that is just complete nonsense, means nothing. The other has to do with your life in some way. There's something
Trying to
going
make sense of some issue that's
some
happening.
issue that's going on, and the other is predictive.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's kind of anticipating. And it's usually veiled and it's kind of hazy, and you have to try to. So those are the 3.
Interesting.
And interpreting which is a whole other thing. But if you start writing them down over a period of time, a period of months, you begin to discern which category they fall under.
What about seeing people that have passed away in your dreams?
Occasionally I've done that. Yeah. I had a grandmother that after she passed away, she'd come into my dream, and whether she was really or whether I was just dreaming about her, I don't know. It felt like she was delivering a message to me or something, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. Yeah, my father, I think, came into a dream or 2 of mine. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
But some people I know have that quite a bit. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
But one thing about the predictive dreams, one thing I should mention, and I brought up the word psychic, so forth. I've studied this my whole life, and most of the future cannot be predicted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we can sense the tendencies of the future, and maybe we can pick up on a warning or occasionally a specific event here and there. but most of it is not meant to be known, nor should you know it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there would be no point to the present.
Yeah. Because if we knew everything there was to know, we would cease to exist, really.
And there's all kinds of, well, there's all kinds of paradoxes too. So if you if you do see the future, but then you kill the person that's would you be able to, all this stuff. So anyway,
I think it's not like so much of a Back to the Future type thing.
Yeah.
I think that like, okay, here's an example I was trying to give somebody. I was driving with my brother. He bought a car. We were moving it to wherever he lived in his state or whatever. And I was having this conversation with him about different timelines, right? It takes a lot of energy to get to a completely different timeline where you're shifting your life, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then you have a timeline where maybe little things happen here and there. Like, for example, I told him, I was like, I have this bag of cheese popcorn, and maybe as I reached back to get it because it was open, I could have picked it up in the way that it would have fell all over me, or I could have picked it up upright, right? It's just like a very small thing to happen. And if I picked it up, it could have either fell all over the car and it would have been open and I would have had to clean it up, or I could have just continued eating my popcorn. Now, say I dropped it and it was all over the car, right? The next gas station stop, I would have gotten out of the car and I would have sweeped it up or whatever. And I would have taken the bag that I would have put it in and went to the garbage. And what if I met the love of my life? Versus me sitting in the car, not having dropped any of the popcorn, and something would have happened. Or not even the love of your life. You might have run into somebody that might have pissed you off because they were just like an angsty trucker or something. Something might have happened. Yep. But the thing is that it really, your timeline as in what you're experiencing throughout your life, there could be many different things that happen and many different choices that we actually do have that could really either really affect the outcome and shift us to a different place, or it could just be kind of like, teetering and, progressively it could be. So I do believe that, and that's where I think that free will and choice, kind of comes into this. And I know a lot of people maybe get disheartened. It's like, what, if, God or love or the universe has decided that this is going to happen for us. This is what.
This is just a belief I have. I can't prove it's true, but it feels right to me. So there must be a way to test it, but I think it's right. And it seems to make sense. There are three things that determine the future. One is we make the future. Mm-hmm. Just like if you picked up the bag of popcorn one way or the other way, that would have delayed you, and then you would have whatever, and that determines the next thing that happened. Or it's that, and then there's quote unquote God's will, or there's a fate to things, and then there's I should say no, there's destiny, so to speak, or maybe some people would call it God's will or destiny, and then there's fate, and fate is I'm sorry, there's God's will and fate, and there's what we make of it, and then there's chance.
Okay.
Total chance.
Interesting.
Right. Total chance. And so all of those things are completely mixed up together. So that's what makes the future near impossible.
And I just want to hear it again.
Right.
So fate, destiny.
Right.
And then what was the first one was?
And kind of a roll of the dice.
Yeah, just chance.
Complete chance.
Fate, and destiny. Right. Destiny, do you think that if you are experiencing a lifetime, there are certain things that might be bullet points that might happen in your life, and everything else is kind of, maybe it could happen, it could not happen, but these are the things that will happen in your life.
Yeah.
Do you think that might be kind of...
That I don't know.
And how do you...
No, and maybe you can change it, maybe you can't. I don't entirely know.
Fate and destiny, though.
Right.
So how do you...
But you can help, just like I was showing that technique earlier of, I call it the destiny attainment technique, where with the pendulum and the focus technique, that can help effectuate what your subconscious mind is doing to make it happen, and take chance out of the equation.
Interesting.
Right?
But do you think
or at least more likely taking it out of the equation?
Okay, so chance out of the equation is as consoling, I think.
Right.
There's an aspect to that. Fate and destiny. Now, how do you differentiate between the two of those?
Well, destiny is probably, at least to me, is God's will, and fate might be the
It was
roll of the
supposed to
dice with God
happen.
blowing on them first.
Oh,
Well, yeah, someone does that for good luck.
interesting.
Maybe.
No,
That's just a
that,
metaphor.
okay, so I like that. So
Yeah.
something fateful might be something that, like, say something happened and had a profound impact.
Yeah.
Whereas destiny is something that is, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So those are three facets to the way that perhaps
The
maybe
future might unfold.
Oh,
Yeah.
so now you do predictions.
I do, but as I said, most of the future can't be predicted.
Okay, and I think that's
And I've
fair.
I go on these news programs every year around New Year's time.
Mm-hmm,
And the problem with that is at New Year's time, everybody wants to hear good news.
Oh yeah,
Nobody
wants to hear bad
is
news.
striking midnight or the few days before, a few days after, around December 31st, January 1st, everyone wants to. Oh, we want to hear all the good stuff. Right?
Yeah.
I can't tell that the whole world is going to crash. I mean, you can't do that.
Oh my
It's very
gosh!
tough.
That must be a
But I've done
burden.
over the years. I've done it to fun things. I've predicted the Oscars.
Yes, yeah, I saw
Right.
that. Yeah.
And for many years, I was really, really good. At one time, I had like a 94% accuracy, even in categories like makeup and cinematography, which I know nothing about. And a lot of times, I'm not a person who goes to the movies a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So for a number of years, I wasn't even and I purposely didn't even go to see the films because if I'd go, I'd have my favorites that I would try to that maybe in my subconscious would want to pick that one. So I didn't know anything about it. I wouldn't even know who half the actors were. Because if you think about it, every year there's new people coming onto the scene in a new movie that you never heard of. And somehow I got all this correct. So I've toned down on that a bit because I don't think people care about the Oscars. It used to be a bigger thing.
I think when people
There's
used to
not
watch
even
TV and not streaming.
Yeah,
I
they
think.
do it. It's too, like you were saying,
Yeah.
it's a 3-hour broadcast. No one watches 3 hours.
I mean, it's just these people now. I think that
I know.
But yeah.
But I used to do that. I'm terrible at predicting sports. Can't do it. They asked me to go on a thing to do the Final Four for the basketball thing. And there was a guy who went on and he gave him a thing, but it was a trick and he switched something at some point, whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go to that. So no, I don't know what's going to happen in a sporting event. Once in a while I get a hunch and it's right, but I can't, not enough to be reliable.
What does a hunch look like for you? Not so much in sporting, but just in general. When you're looking at some sort of if you're predicting, do you see like a visual in your mind? Is it a question that needs to be asked?
I always say it's kind of like the curtain. You're at a theater show, you're in a theater waiting for the play to begin, and the curtain just parts ever so slightly on the theater of tomorrow.
Interesting.
And you get a little vague little hazy image of it, and then I have to interpret it.
Oh.
So over the years, one of the things I saw was the Mississippi River reversing course, which is weird.
Yeah.
It only flows one way. But I said the Mississippi River will reverse course. And that was the year that Katrina, the big hurricane in New Orleans, happened. And they had the levees broke or they opened them up and the river went the opposite direction. So I get these things like that. And this year I sent, and I did this on ABC TV's Countdown 2025 broadcast, and I said there'll be snow in April in Chicago. And a week ago, it was snowing. So I was like, yes, no, I don't want it to snow in April.
No, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well,
but it did. And the other prediction I had, so you can see if this is that the Chicago Bears will make the playoffs this coming year. So hopefully they do that. But that's way out there. They never do. But anyway.
So there's one thing that is a feeling, that is your intuition, that is like, okay, I feel as though this is going to happen. How do you kind of stay away from the noise that you're like, so you're not interpreting the noise rather than interpreting the actual, how do you differentiate between the two?
Yeah, so I actually verify it. Again, I use the pendulum where I do.
Yeah.
And there's an old technique where
the yes/no.
Yes/no. Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah.
So if it goes back if it goes back and forth, it's yes. Circle is no. So I will verify after I've come up with these ideas about what I think might happen in the future. I use the pendulum to actually verify it.
Interesting.
And then, but I'm not 100%. So overall, over all the years that I've done that, I think it's 72, 73% of it. So about 3 out of 4.
No, it's very
Or a little
close,
less than 3
though.
out of 4. There is 70%.
So I wrote down a list of because you have quite a few
Oh,
exercises
there you go. Look at
that
that.
and I will say that this book, I think that a lot of people talk about things in a very abstract way where it's like, okay, this is the way it's done, da 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 da. And it's kind of, when you read books like that, it's like, okay, it leaves kind of this essence of, okay, I'm confused. This is great for you. I love that. But, to preach to somebody is very different than having a practical application.
Right.
And from what I was seeing, is that there are a lot of really practical applications that if somebody wants to start to practice these things, it really, the fact that this thing, I don't know how that happened, but that was pretty insane. I don't know how that happened. Just don't know, but I will say that the book does a very good job of allowing for someone. First of all, it's an easy read, which is great because I've read a lot of books that are kind of get a little abstract, and you lose the essence of it.
Okay.
With this, and you have quite a few different exercises. The yes/no method, using a pendulum. But then also there are certain other ones where there's the relaxed awareness, right? At least in my mind, the way that I interpreted it is that watch your thoughts, see what your thoughts are. Like, for example, if you envision your thoughts as a train station and there's a train that comes, and if that is the thought and it goes, you're still the train station, right? So you did, that is one of your exercises. I would love for you to share kind of the premise of why somebody would want to do that relaxed awareness, at least from the first point, right? I think that is something that is built up,
right,
to be able to kind of get in tune with your own intuition.
What were some of the others that you have there?
There's the first impression exercise, which basically it's you start to notice when you first meet somebody, what you feel about them, and then verify it later. And then you have the number guessing, where it's and I was talking to him earlier because of this, it's being able to actually read, for example, we're doing this exercise and I give you, I say, hey, pick a number between 1 and 10. And then I have you say the numbers out loud, and I notice all of your expressions when and not without knowing the number, I started kind of really read your facial expressions, your cues, what you're doing, and then later on find out the number. So I think these are bridges to being able to understand, at least initially, what honing into your intuition looks like. I'd love for you to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so what you're describing there's a series of steps that if you do them and build up, it builds up your intuition. At the time, I'm created these little exercises to do. But you don't have to do all of those. But yeah, I lay out in the book a series that just helps it strengthen it.
But it's important too. But I will say, as though perhaps maybe this is something that comes just very easily to you.
Right.
But to most people, they have trouble honing in onto that feeling because their mind gets in the way. Where you're then rationalizing that no. Oh, they were saying nice things, or they were, So I think that especially with these examples, you have also a mental imagery rehearsal, right? You want something to go a certain way, and then you're thinking about executing on that over time, right? And you watch it, you feel it, like you said, you're feeling the feelings of that thing happening. So there's so many exercises, which is what essentially what I'm saying is that perhaps maybe you had to be in a frame of mind to realize that I just feel as though most people are not.
That's why I wrote it, because most people can't do it. But if the thing is to spend at least 10, 15 minutes a day doing these. And after a while, it becomes natural and you're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, it's repetition. It would be like a guitar player practicing a scale or a chord progression on their guitar. And if you do it enough, where it wasn't natural to do that for them,
Right.
where it was for a professional guitarist, if they do it enough, all of a sudden it becomes natural.
Yeah.
They just pick up the guitar and they're doing it.
Have you
So
ever
it's the same thing here. Yeah.
Have you ever kind of trained anybody else or trained somebody to where you saw that maybe they were in a specific place when it comes to their intuition, and then over time saw that there was a big difference?
Yeah. All the
Tell
time.
us about it.
Yeah, all the time. In fact, there's a company I do now, and we do this over Zoom, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They hire me because they're executives and their sales force is sort of spread out around the country and in some other countries too.
Mm-hmm.
So they all meet on Zoom once a week with me for a month, and we just did the last session. And I train them, but already they're seeing the difference.
How so?
Yeah, and because they're not salesperson, they're account executives. You know how that is.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a janitor, it's a building engineer.
Oh, yes.
It's not a stewardess, it's a flight attendant.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Secretary, it's an administrative assistant.
That's right.
But anyway, their account executives are out there, and the process, their whole sales process is just smoother all of a sudden because they're able to pick up on what their customers really need and what they really want and what the problems really are.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So do you think it's facial expressions also, like facial expressions, energy, so do you actively put yourself in a person's mind?
Mm-hmm.
Actively? Like you're like, okay, what does this person see?
Yeah.
So, and that's something you're teaching.
So I'll go right back to it. If you imagine your mind leaving that space, completely leaving it, and going inside someone else's head and looking out through their eyes and try to see what they're seeing. And at the same time, if you can, use other senses, try to hear what they're hearing, smell what they're smelling, taste what they're tasting, feel what they're feeling. If you can, you understand them. You just know things. And if you do that, you won't know it at first. But if you do that, if you consciously attempt that every day, whether you're talking to them on the phone, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's in person, whether it's someone you're not even actively communicating with, but it's a crowded room and there's someone across the room and you're trying to figure out that person, you just do that. And eventually, within a few weeks, you'll begin to pick up on things. It's actually quite simple.
Do you think you ever would have lived your life without having these skills?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously can live it that way.
But
this
would
is my
you?
passion.
Because it's a
it's
passion, but it's
passion,
also a sixth sense,
right. Yeah, and there's an old saying, if you combine the other 5 senses, it creates the 6th sense.
Oh, that's so interesting. So I didn't know, I had not heard that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Actually, it's not so old. I just thought it. No, I didn't. No, but I've heard it said before. It's not original with me. But it does make sense. It's if you combine the other 5 senses, if they're all very active, it creates this intuitive sense, the 6th sense.
So do you feel like, I mean, I know you do a lot of performances and teaching, teaching in these corporate spaces, but as well as having these performances in those spaces. Do you think that maybe sometimes people, they see things, right? And they see you doing these amazing things that they just cannot wrap their mind around. Is there something that perhaps that you do that you find that maybe people have a hard time believing or putting their, of all the things that do you see it as a science? Do you see it as
Yes.
something that's... Yeah.
It's a combination of a science and an art.
Uh-huh.
It's both.
Elaborate on
and
art.
So, well, it's an art in that, for anything, if you create someone has an idea for a business, it's still an art as to how they position it. And there's an art to how you market it, and there's an art. It's both. It's the same here. It's as a performance aspect, it's certainly an art. But there's a science to making it happen. Is it a proven science? Probably not as yet. But to some degree, it has been.
Mm-hmm.
We know when there have been tsunamis, the people, in the Indian Ocean when they had that big tsunami some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The
The one that
people who were native to that area saw the animals seeking higher ground
mm-hmm.
at a certain, and they all went to higher ground. And then 20 minutes later, the tsunami happened.
Interesting. Yeah.
So the animals had that sense that
Yeah.
something was going on.
Right. And I think that they're
So
operating
that
on
they know that
there's a frequency that they're operating
frequency.
on. And I would say that scientifically, there are certain frequencies that we probably don't even have the tools to measure.
Mhm.
So who's to say that there isn't, right? I mean, when it comes to animals, as you mentioned, like they say things about animals that recognize good people or recognize a threat. Do you think that this is something that they are more attuned to as opposed to human beings who maybe have fell out of that?
Yeah, probably. Absolutely, yeah. We've all seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would say that definitely there is more to it. And as you mentioned, in terms of science, while maybe it's not mainstream, there is a lot of research going on, the quantum field, being able to kind of understand that maybe there is more in terms of energy than practically what is taught, like K through 12. Yeah.
If you look at astrophysics, we know just an nth of a percent of what's really going on.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of dark matter, what is it? 95% of the universe is dark matter.
Yeah.
They don't even know what it is and what's going on there. So
yeah. What do you think about AI and consciousness? I mean, we have consciousness as humans, and animals have consciousness. What do you think about this whole? It's data, right? It's predictive, and they're dealing with a lot of data. Do you have any thoughts on where our society might be headed? Do you think that maybe it's like a fake out or something like that? Maybe the general public is thinking something that.
It's very possible that we'll get to a point where there's quite accurate predictive AI. There's so much data that it can actually
make predictions.
Make a pretty good prediction of certain things that we normally wouldn't. It's just taking all these little nuances of what's going on. So that's pretty cool.
How do you relate it to?
But I mean, every technology, there's positives and negatives to it. It's all on how you use it. It's been that way since, what was it? When was the light bulb created? I don't know, somewhere in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, but it's every technology, there's a plus and a minus to it. So,
yeah. Oh, no, for sure. Do you think that somebody that might be wanting to learn more about their intuition and how to hack it, do you think it's as simple as that, as just, or?
Yeah, it may be very helpful in doing that. Absolutely, yeah. It may be.
Is this something that you've seen in your life that has helped you?
In terms of AI?
No. I'm sorry. I'm changing the subject to intuition.
Okay. Yeah.
Like in terms of your life, are there some serious things that you might have picked up on in your lifetime that might have helped you?
Oh, totally. Absolutely, yeah. So, I've sensed certain dangers that have happened. There's times I didn't listen to it. And there was, for instance, there was a time I was out with some people. This was on the East Coast, and we were in New York, and I was with some people, and we were going to go to a certain venue, and something came over me that we just should not go there. We just absolutely should not. And a couple people went, but the rest of them just stayed with, we did something else. And then at that venue, there was some kind of disagreement, or who knows, and there was gunfire, and there was somebody killed, and my friends were all right, turns out, but it was a whole...
It's traumatic.
Traumatic, right. So I had somehow picked up on that.
What does it feel like?
And they were like, Sidney, we should have listened to you.
I know.
I know.
Sydney, when Sydney has opinions, we should listen to
them. So, Alia, check in with me before you go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I should. What does it feel like?
So, yeah, that's what I've had that.
Is it like a feeling, a bubbling up of emotion, or?
Yeah, so it's something auditory too. I hear it, but I also see it. And sometimes I smell it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's gotten stronger over time. Do you think that your ability
It's
to
been
focus
pretty
seems to
strong
be
for many years. Very
okay?
strong. And there's times where it's waned, but then it comes back. So
Okay.
yeah.
How do you compare yourself to a psychic?
Well, I don't talk to the dead.
Okay.
So if that's
It's
what
a medium, right?
they're medium,
Yeah.
right? Um, or some of them are medium large, I guess.
Mhm.
So no, I don't communicate that way. I have enough trouble with the living people.
Okay. Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm not psychic. And I don't, as I said, I don't think most of the future can be predicted, but I do sense certain things. So
Mhm.
in a sense, I am psychic.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a loaded term, psychic. So am I a psychic? No, but maybe a little bit, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a more accurate thing would be an intuitive or
Intuitive.
yeah.
Do you
But
think?
mentalist seems to
Yeah.
satisfy that. Yeah.
So do you
Meaning
feel
I'm mental,
men
totally mental.
you're mentally intelligent and able
No.
to pick up on things that most people don't,
Yeah.
I would say.
Like your picture.
Well, I mean, I'm I don't know what to say. I'm just confused. Do you think that maybe there is an aspect of woo-woo there?
Don't know. I
Mm.
can't say. I do know this that most of the majority of the quote unquote storefront psychics and all that, there's nothing to it really.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes if they're a really good quote psychic reading though
Mm.
can be as good or a lot better than a psychotherapist if you
Yeah.
go to see someone really good.
Yeah.
But the really good ones are few and far between.
I would say so.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I have seen some there's a reader I went to who was just amazing and just like did a lot for me.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Do you think it was a guide for you and not
Yeah.
so much of a
Well, it was a guy they also could sense tendencies and so forth and was very quite real. Yeah.
Oh, well, I
So,
would love to have
I
that
know.
recommendation.
So, sure. And so yeah, but most of it I'm a little more skeptical of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would say that there was somebody I went to in New York just for fun. Just, we were a bunch of friends. And, it's kind of like they're just waiting for you to give them information so that they can just read you in terms of your body language and what you look like and kind of like what they feel as though your life is going to be to make kind of these predictions.
But also be very careful. There's times where people will go see someone like that when they really need help.
Yeah.
And the person say, here's the answers, but if you really want it, you've got to. And it ends up being a scam, and they give their life savings to them to do so.
Yeah.
And I'll triple it for. No, you got to be very cautious of that.
Do you think there's like an aspect of like black magic or kind of like a negative, sinister sort of side to something like this?
There probably is, yeah. So I would just be very, you have to. I think everyone has a sense of where the light is at, where the dark is at. You just have to listen to it.
You'd be surprised, though. I'm just saying is that I think that a lot of what I see is that sometimes people are not trusting themselves. Their mind gets in the way of their intuition. I mean, your
Oh
mind.
yeah, no, people do this in dating. They know all of her girlfriends know that guy is bad for her, but she doesn't see it.
She doesn't see it.
Right.
Exactly. Because she chooses not to
She
see
chooses
it.
not to see it, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. Guys, be some girls,
Yeah.
everybody can see what is he with her for?
Yeah.
But
Agreed. Interesting.
yeah.
Well, I would love to hear any takeaways. Like, I mean, for somebody that is a layman that is coming in that wants to enhance their intuition, first 3 steps.
Okay. First step is to just accept that you have it, no matter what, and don't say, "Oh, my intuition I don't have much of it, or I don't use it enough." Just say, "No, I have it."
Mhm.
Everyone does. Every animal does.
Mhm.
The whole idea of these birds and butterflies and so forth, and the whales that migrate,
Mhm.
they do. It's all on intuition and on another frequency that
The birds that flock.
they flock and all that. So, and we're part of that too.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. Second step is to read my books. No,
This is
you don't have to.
No, actually, read his books.
No,
Please do, because that's
yeah. No, anyway, but that's second step is I really think working with the the pendulum is one of the greatest things you can do. It's insanely miraculous what the effects it has.
Yeah.
So, and then the third step is to apply it almost every day. If you can do just a little bit every day, and before you know it, within weeks, within a couple months, it'll be natural.
Yeah. And I think that it's not to kind of like, it's not magic, right? There is something in terms of your own energy that you're putting out that is very much so in alignment with that field, you know?
Right.
I'm like, just not even devil's advocate. Like, if you focus on, at least for me, when I was focusing on it, it wasn't something that I wasn't, it's just what I was thinking,
Yeah.
I think that we're interacting, we're in the same room. We have electromagnetism of some sort, you're sensing certain things on all of us and likewise, right?
Right.
And I think that there is something more to it. It's not magic. And I think that people kind of, it cheapens it really to be out. It's like, it's just illusion. Magic is an illusion.
Right. And Alia, you were a perfect example of this when I first handed you the pendulum, because at first it was just moving a little bit.
Yeah. I was in my head. I was in my
your head,
head.
and then you got outside of it, and then all of a sudden it started really.
Yeah.
It took about 20 seconds, and then you.
I can't place what it is though, how to be outside of your head.
Go back to the tape, you'll see that.
Interesting. Yeah. To be outside of your head. So actually that's my where I am stuck in my life right now, is to get out my head. Not to be attached to the outcome, and just to be in the moment. But then when I'm in the moment, I'm like, oh, I'm in
I'll give you two things to kind of end on. One is don't live in the moment. They all say everybody live in the moment, but rather regard the past, live in the moment, and keep an eye to the future.
Oh.
Do all three simultaneously.
That makes sense, though.
And then you're not so attached to the moment, but you're not so attached to the past, and you're not so attached to the outcome in the future. You kind of are spread out among all three. And when your mind is in all those spaces simultaneously, magical things happen. So that's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Second is don't think positive.
Always think negative?
No. Don't think positive. Because positive thinking, all these gurus, positive thinking, doesn't work. Because no matter how much you try to think positive, negative thoughts still creep in there.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
Don't think of the pink elephant.
So yeah, if you say, exactly, you're going to think of a pink elephant. Mm-hmm. So don't think positive, rather do positive.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you do something positive, then the positive thoughts naturally follow rather than forcing them on yourself. So always, every day, think about doing something positive for yourself, something positive for your family, something positive for the community, something positive for work.
Right? Oh, okay.
Do those. Think about doing something positive,
Okay.
Even if it's like, I'm going to clean my kitchen. That's doing something positive.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever it is, something small, something within your home, something outside your home, something for others, something for yourself. And when you start thinking of that, okay, I just did something positive, then you'll start thinking positive.
Interesting.
And then the positive
follows.
The positive outcomes will follow.
Okay. So you have the be in past, present, future.
Right. Regard the past. Regard the past. Be in the present moment, and keep an eye to the future.
Okay.
All simultaneously.
Then
it's like almost being inside and outside at the same time.
Yeah. And actually that actually makes a lot of sense, because I think that with this whole idea of mindfulness and, we have to be present. This is the only moment that matters. This is the only moment that exists.
No.
But it doesn't, because, there are many things that have happened to.
And in astrophysics point of view, and maybe even quantum, there is no time.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Time is just because it's a way of organizing Earth, and so we get through the day and so forth. Just
time.
Right. But in space, there's no up and down.
Yeah.
Space, we have up and down on Earth because it's in relation to the ground. Right?
So funny. I was going to do a trick on you, but I decided not to. Your tricks are way better than mine.
Yeah. So it's not being in the moment, it's being in everything.
Right. Right. Because the past is what is it? The past is what we're looking back on from this moment. And basically the future is in continuation of this moment. Right. but we are all in
this
all of these
moment,
moments.
the moment I say this moment, it's not there anymore.
It's
We're in the
it's
next
gone.
moment.
It's gone. Absolutely. Interesting. Well, that sounds amazing. And I would love for you to do like a master class or something because how intriguing. And I think that this is something that people need to develop.
Yeah.
Such a useful tool to be able to kind of.
I'm here for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think everyone else, I think that you should be teaching this,
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm signing up for your class. So tell us where we can reach you, how we can see your
The
performances.
best is through my website, SidneyFriedman.com. S-I-D, not S-Y-D.
Okay.
S-I-D-N-E-Y.
Okay.
Friedman, Friedman.com.
Awesome.
I'm sure you have a graphic or something.
I do.
All right. So, yeah, SidneyFriedman.com. That's the best way to reach me. Phone number's on there as well for my office. And I also list performances. I appear in different cities. I've already been in 45 of the 50 states, every major city of Canada, the Caribbean, Europe, all that. So, but yeah, you can find out where coming performances are. I also have a newsletter called Mind Notes.
Okay.
And
Notes.
if you send me if you go on that website and just send me a note, I can put you on the list for Mind Notes, and there's Mind Power Tips every month.
I love it.
So yeah,
I love it. Sidney, it has been a pleasure.
thank you.
I am just floored. I mean, let's just pull this up again. This is insane. What? Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And I have to say, I've had people, there's thousands of things you could have drawn because I've had people draw everything from, well, the basic thing, people draw a house.
I was like, that's boring.
No, that's boring.
Yeah.
But I've never had anybody draw a jumping rope, ever. And there's people who draw different kinds of beach scenes, and there's all kinds of, but there's thousands of things people, you think of all the animals in the world and all the objects and everything. And people have but I've never had anybody do jumping rope. So that's
Well, I loved this conversation.
Me too.
Honestly, I'm just floored. How cool.
Thank you, Alia.
All right. Lovely having you. Thank you so much.
pleasure.